Hello guys, Wahoo here, back with another video. This time around we are doing the full PTS patch notes on the delves. This is gonna be a long video, just warning right now. I did do a TLDR, so go check that one out. It's only 11 minutes. I kind of go over everything you kind of need to know. This one, I'm going into more depth about everything, but if you just want to read it, if you haven't seen the TLDR or things like that, it is going to be linked in the description, of course, so you can go check it out for yourself, because there is a lot to these here patch notes. So I just want to say straight off the bat here, it seems to be a lot of text here, like a giant wall of text. But the thing is that it's probably a very simple system. I haven't tried it out yet. Right now, the PTS server is being a little funky, and I haven't tried it out yet. I wanted to show you guys some of that, but I will show you guys some delves in another video. Also show you the update to the Tomb Racer. I'm also going to show you guys that in a separate video as well, kind of going over how I feel like it is and so on. But this is about the patch notes, and like I said, it is linked in the description. But the first thing is the delves, and delves is basically a never-ending shadow towers where things get harder and harder and harder. I had the idea for a very long time, and I pushed it onto the devs, and I talked about that in the TLDR video, kind of the whole shenanigans about that. So I don't want to go into that again. If you watch both of them, it's basically repeating myself. But the patch notes is about the delves, and delves, again, it gets harder and harder and harder. You also get more and more rewards, and it's just never-ending patch notes. And also a little bit of a smaller, or I guess a service message, is that shadow towers are now delve, so basically that's it. But let's start with talking about delve. And delve is a new type of gameplay. It combines the Dew caves, so the caves you are familiar with, you've done probably like 100 times. If you haven't, make sure you check out some of the videos that I've done so on the channel about getting into Dew, upgrading your modules, and so on and so on. So make sure you check those out. They are on the channel in the guide and tutorial playlist. And I've made over 65 videos, not about only Dew, but about Trove in general, but you will find it in there somewhere. Running through the delves, completing objective, defeating bosses quickly for rewards up to it. So I think there's a timer as well. You don't have endless time to defeat these bosses and continue to the next level. That's at least my thought, right? There's three types of delves. There's a public delve, the private delve, and then the challenge delves. The challenge delves is not available on the PTS server as of right now. It's only the public ones and the private ones. And again, I want to show you guys that in a separate video, what they look like and what we can expect from it. And like as I said, it's only those that are available. Queuing for any type will queue people going on. You can also join other worlds. That's basically what it's saying, to move on. You know, once you're queued, you can rock around, do whatever you want to, and then suddenly it's gonna say, hey, do you want to join the delves? And I tried to join 2 times now for the public ones. It hasn't gone through the loading screen yet. It's not. Some people might be getting into it. I hope so. But right now I couldn't get into it, and I just wanted to keep doing these patch note video for you guys, so we can get the ball rolling on all of this information. So the point is that what I wanted to say with that is that the loading screen looks very, very good. That was my point. Players log out or who log out while queued will be unqueued. I wish there was a button where you could unqueue yourself, so some kind of interface or something like that. Just like the shadow towers, you could sign up. Instead of just right now, you only click a portal for the public ones, but I wish there was some kind of interface where you could sign up with your friends, other ones, and stuff like that. And yeah, up to 8 people could be in the delve. So yeah, just 8 people, and you can't change out people while you're doing the delve. It's basically unique to the person that enters for it. So it's 8 people, just like pinatas and other things like that, just like the shadow towers also. Delves also allows us to use our modules. I talked about that as well in the TLDR. So basically, if you haven't upgraded your modules, good idea to do so. That's why I also promoted the other tutorial videos, because I talk about those, how you upgrade them and how you get on into all of them. And it's a very, very good idea to do so. Also, they talk about it's a dangerous place. If players die, your allies can actually resurrect you for them in 4 seconds. So it says allies. I don't think they mean the small guys you have running around with you. I don't think those guys are going to. I think it's your other, what's it called? Delvers, I guess you can call them. Your teammates that can resurrect you in the 4 seconds. There, it is changed from 8 seconds to 4 seconds in all the worlds, so it's not 8 seconds anymore for all of them. Also, but each time you die, the first time you're gonna get added 5 seconds. So basically, just like if you know Diablo, if you're dying in a Greater Rift, is it called a Greater Rift or is it the other one? I think it's a Greater Rift. But if you die in one of those, it gets the first time you die, you can resurrect right away. But then you die second time, you have 5 seconds and 10 and so on. And the same thing is here. So the first death is 5 seconds, and then the next death is not 15, 10 of course, and then 15, etc., etc., etc. This doesn't say anything about. It doesn't say anything about there's any cap on this one here. So yeah, but the point is that if you I think if you resurrect the person, they get past this, penalty. So if you are fast, if somebody dies and they have like a 30-second, before you can or resurrect yourself, I think you can get an ally to basically come and overrule that one if they get to resurrect you in those 4 seconds it takes to do so. That is at least how it is in Diablo. I don't know if that's what they took it from. It seems very similar to what there is in, yeah. I hope that this was also implemented. This could be so fun. If this was implemented in the original Shadow Towers, I would love that. That would be an amazing. Releasing in Delve, returning player to the beginning of the Delve tier, but there is an intra-Delve transport, so you can basically transport to people back to the a fully cleared room. So if you release, you can go back to there, but you can't join people until it's fully cleared. That's at least what I think, because then there'll probably be some kind of cheat where you can just like release and then teleport back, and you can probably overrule some of all those death penalties and stuff like that. So yeah, that's at least what I think. Also, when all creatures in room defeated, the room becomes a checkpoint. So that's basically a checkpoint. So you can say, also the same thing is in Diablo, where you can go to level 70. When you complete a level 70, you can then go to that, start at that point 70, and then you can see, okay, then I have some extra floors. Like I think it's 5 floors you get, so it's like 75. But then you can do 71, and then you get 76, and like it's always pushing, so you can basically jump from one to another. I'm not sure if that's how it works, but we'll see when we get there. But at least it's checkpoint, and then you can basically progress bar and stuff like that. When the boss is activated, all players work their way through the path to the lair. So the path of the lair, basically that's some trash mobs before you can get to the boss. And yeah. And also there's some indicators, and there's also, if there is like a prop missing, then you can also, because sometimes people also get food deliveries, so that's what it is. The Delve's modifiers, they talk about some of the modifiers is Detailith. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but basically there are some modifiers, and many of these modifiers makes them enemies take damage only from melee range, or reduced health, or extra damage, or darkness and stuff like that. That is why things are unique to players, that you can only, if you bring 8 players or those 8 players that enter is basically locked into this delve until it's completed, I guess, or until like everybody leaves or something like that. The point is that you cannot just have a guy, for example, that has a character that has a lot of light stats, right? Because sometimes some of these bosses are going to have a lot of dark, and that's a stat that is in the Geo top side, where enemies have a stat called dark. It's basically armor, and then light is armor penetration. And I talk about a lot of that on my video about light and dark stats. But the point is that you cannot just switch that guy out because he has a better character for defeating this specific boss, because you can see what boss you do have to kill and what it modifiers has and stuff like that. If you have every character pimped out, if you can say it like that, if they all are as good as they can get, I guess that doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure you can change characters on yourself, but you cannot change player. That's what I mean. So you can basically change before you go into that. You can probably change, but you can't change players. That's why I'm pretty sure that's why they did it. So it doesn't make it okay. This guy has like a lot better characters to this and this. Also, there is some themed around existing biomes. Also, there's the hive, and there's also now honey that is basically introduced in the game. So a new liquid, but it's not something you can fish in, as they say here. There's no fish that can survive in honey. It's the birds and the bees, not the fish and the bees. So yeah, thanks for that, Dad. Nice joke. But yeah, the new liquid is honey, and it basically, when you stand in it, you have increased health regen. Next thing is that the objectives can basically variable. They sometimes you have to kill specific monsters or whatnot. Also, one of those objectives is called monolith, for example. That could be one of the objectives where, of course, you have to hunt down a certain amount of monolith, and then you basically engage them and defeat them, and that you do that objective. So there's objective through all of it. A boss trophy appears before every boss. That's what I talked about before, so you can see what this which kind of boss it is. Because some of the bosses, it also says further down, some of the Shadow Tower bosses are in there. I think the only boss that is not there is the Hydra, because apparently it can't get out of the wall. So sorry, Hydra. I guess you're always stuck in there, but I'll come visit you sometimes in the Shadow Towers, dude. Don't worry. Even though you don't give me any rewards more, I'll come visit to hang out, talk about, old days. Basically you can fight Daughter Moon with specific modifiers, but you will still have probably some of the mechanics that it has now. So I really hope we're gonna see like a bunch of new bosses with new mechanics and new stuff, and the new modifiers and extra damage, damage, reduced health. Like, I hope there is so much variety in the different bosses that not that you can't predict what they're doing, but not that not one boss kind of seems like the same over and over again. Because we always know what Daughter Moon is going to do. We always know what that other one is going to do. We know what they're all going to do. And yes, there's of course a certain amount of combinations, but they could change it on to seasons, do something like that. That could be kind of cool, where like for this month, for example, all Daughter Moon has like a spin move where there's a laser and you have to jump and it just kills you one shot and stuff like that. Kind of like that. And then next month it has something different. And I don't know. A lot of different things. I know that requires a lot of investment, but that also keeps the player base interested. Like, for example, this month, for example, Daughter Moon has the laser spin. I don't know what it does. It just says laser spin. What the, I'm gonna go in and see what it is, and then it does the thing, and then, oh my god, that's it. It goes, and they can also reuse it later on. Of course, I'm not saying they should do a new one every single month, but at least have some new ones getting in there somewhere with some of the bosses and stuff like that. That was just an idea. Take it or leave it. Let's carry on with what we're doing here. Yeah, okay, so if the boss is reached and defeated fast enough, the radius is appear, interacted, and also close. By speeding up the fast portal until the next will appear. If the team took too long to reach the boss, a sign will appear. The longcast, of course, you can't join the next level if you don't defeat it. So basically these two are just, hey, if you do it, awesome, next level. If you don't do it, we have to queue up again. Or do a new private, one. A personal chest and mold and stuff like that will appear after the boss, just like the Shadow Towers, also the potions and stuff like that. So basically when you're done with the Shadow, or the lair, or the delve level, everything like we did on, we have had with Shadow Towers is exactly the same. And Pel, as it says right here, that's the guy that is basically when you enter a viewed cave, this guy says, which kind of modules do you want to use, what ridicules and stuff like that, will you add that and stuff like that. And basically that guy is also available, so you can change modules depending on what you're fighting as well, because you can use them as well. And also the last thing is that more experienced or expert delvers are going to learn more about the ways of the delve when they continue through it. All right, so now we are in the public and the private delves. I'm not going to talk a bunch about this. I think you should read this about yourself, but it's basically just talking about how you join the public ones, or how you join the private ones and stuff like that. You have to before you can do a private, you have to do a public, because you need the new currency, which I'm also going to talk about in a little bit. But you do have to do that, and before you can do a private one, because you have to craft an item for that. So let's jump on to the rewards. That's probably more interesting for you guys. After defeating the boss, a chest will appear. Different kind of chest, question mark. I don't know what that means, because I haven't seen it, but there is a chest in after defeating the boss, as we are basically used to. New types of collection can be found in delves. Mementos. Each memento grants mastery. I think this is only periodically when you are delving. I think it's a boost to your mastery for that. Also, it's based on the enemy's experience in the delve. So next thing is shadow shards is available for picking up, and inside crystals inside the delves after a certain depth. So you can still get shadow shards. I don't think you have to go that far down, but we will have to see. But you can still get shadow shards, because there's still some stuff that are in there. And here is the new currency. I'm gonna call it init. I don't know if that's the right term, but init is a new currency that is given when you delve. And also right now it says that you can get a wallet. The wallet is something you can buy for 250 of the new currency. You can buy a wallet one time, it seems, and then I think you have to go to a certain point, and then you can buy another 100. So you can get maximum of 500 on you at the time, because this just says make sure that you use it before you hit the cap. This basically, when you hit the cap and you still keep going delving, you won't get more of the new currency here. So that's just why make sure you use it before you hit the cap, or at least get the wallet, right? Okay, and also purchase some mounts and some wings, and the wings are a new Paragon wings, which is amazing. I love the Paragon wings. That will work in the private delves alongside the private delve gates and stuff like that. And also, there's a lot of allies. Also, you can craft in there, bunch of allies. I think there is I would say 25 or 30 new allies you can craft from all of that. Some of the Shadow Tower bosses, as we said, have creeped into it, and also that now Daughter Moon has three new mounts, and Pinata God, Spike Walker, and Weeping Prophet all have a new mount. So it doesn't say anything about the second boss, the second last boss, the Dreadnought. I think he just doesn't say anything about it. He just says that Hydra is unable to move his wall underground. So yeah, so we might not see the Dreadnought. We don't know. In addition to Crystal Gear, Delve also places where the Crystal 4 gear is now available, but it has to be. I wouldn't say it's gonna be hard to get, but I think it's gonna be pretty hard to get. I'm gonna be on the negative side here and say it's gonna be very hard to get. So yeah, don't expect to just do the first 2 levels or something like that and then get some Crystal Gear. We know how hard Crystal 3 gear is, so yeah. But I'm happy that we are now getting a chance of getting Crystal 4 gear. That is for sure. That is really nice that we have a chance for that. Also, there's some badges for completing public, private, and challenge delves. I'm not sure if it's 6 badges for public and then 6 for private and 6 for challenge, or it's 6 in total. But yeah, it's just how many you probably have done. I'm pretty sure, and I think that's a good idea because people are gonna hunt these badges because of the people want the badges for even the public and stuff like that. There's a new module. Basically, what it does is it sucks up all the crystal around you when you are. And I haven't tried it out yet, but it sounds pretty cool. There's a new module at least. I don't think it's very combat friendly, but at least it's something, maybe a more quality of life module, I would say. Delve Day, Shadow Day, a Monday. Shadow Day is basically now called Delve Day. So you get the double chance of crystal drops, shadow shards, and a new init drops also is double and of course tripled if you have patron. So basically just Mondays now is just a delve day instead of a shadow day. Here comes the shadow tower changes. So first when I read this, I thought that they were has been removed. I thought that, oh no, I gotta go in and change all my Titan souls and all my Lunar souls into something useful. But if you read on, you can see they can now be obtained through delves. So no worries, don't have to change anything like that. You can still obtain them in the delves and you can still craft with them. So don't have to, they're not gonna go away, basically. They're just going to the delves. So everything in the Shadow Towers is just move over in the delves. Also, the purple name has retired, but they might bring it back for delves. Binding of Darkness and the Starfire Star Dragon Eggs fragments no longer drop in the Shadow Towers, but they can be found in the delves. Also, the Starfire Dragon fragments can now be found from world bosses outside of Shadow Towers. So basically, world bosses are, all sorts of small bosses out of, or small bosses. This, the larger monsters that are around sometimes some of the, dungeons and whatnot. And those have a chance now of dropping dragon fragments. And I think still Fridays or still, it will still have a bigger chance for dropping. So also Shadow, Moon, and Eclipse fragments no longer obtainable. So when you are doing your normal dungeons and stuff like that, you can't get Shadow or Moon or Eclipse key fragments anymore. But don't worry, you can take all these key fragments and turn them into, into the Delve currency instead, or the Delve key. So basically there's only one key now, instead of there's 3 different, I put up 6 fingers, I mean 3. Now there's 3 different kind of keys, but they're just turning into Delve, and then you can, I'll bet you get from U1 to all the way to U9 or U10 as well. You can get just a regular Delve fragments, but you can turn them in, and also it says you have to do it before the 1st of January 2021. So that's about 9 months or even 10 months from now that you can turn in your keys and change them. So if you watch this later on, you still have time to turn them into Delve keys, or else they're just gonna be removed probably if you get dirt for that's at least what I think they're gonna do. Delve key fragments now drop instead of shadow keys, like I said, and now fixtures like things from the what's it called from clubs. The clubs have fixtures that give you extra key fragments, but they are removing that apparently. I don't know why. Doesn't make a lot of sense because they were for the other ones. I'm not sure. I don't know. The Monday adventure offering during events where you have to get a key fragment on Mondays. Right now we have an event going on, so on Monday we have to get some key fragments. Doesn't matter which key fragment it is, it's just going to be Delve fragments instead of being what's it called there. But this does say this is subject to change. If you have ideas, let us know. So if you have any ideas, Twitter or something like that. Also, the ST Adventures has been replaced with Delve Adventures. So instead of having a Shadow Tower adventure quest, then now it's going to be a Delve one instead. Chest at the end of Shadow Towers no longer requires keys to open. Delve keys requires to open. So again, okay, so you can still run through the Shadow Towers. I guess you can still run the Shadow Towers as of this. You can still run the Shadow Tower. You just won't get any souls out of it, and you won't get any. You basically just be a regular chest from somewhere else. So it's just gonna be really kind of empty. But yeah. And the expertise to go through. This is an expertise quest for newer players to go through the Shadow Towers. So I'll get them to learn about Shadow Towers. That one is going to be removed. But the Giant Panda, Shadow Panda, you get from completing it. You can just craft it in the Shadowy Market. So basically this is where you craft your boxes, you craft your shadow caches and stuff like that. There you can now craft it at the end. Also, Eclipse keys now, the tome, instead of giving Eclipse keys, it's gonna give you Delve keys. Now we get into some of the little more controversial stuff because they are changing. They said that mastery is going to be changed. I again really hope that they are going to change this back, and I hope they're not gonna do what they are going to do, because I think they're going to lose a lot about the endgame players. I talked about it in the TLDR video. But basically, you will only get for each mastery level, you are going to get 1.5% health, 0.5% damage, and 10% power. Not 10%, sorry, 10 power rank points. You're going to get that for each level up to a 200. So the first 200 levels, you're going to get that. After that, it's just going to be a number. And yes, I have talked about in the previous that I would like to have some kind of prestige level in Trove as well, where all your experience goes to. But this was not what I had in mind. This is not what I meant. I wished for a different system that just shows you that you have accumulated this much experience for playing the game, basically. This was not my intentions about this idea at all. I'm not sure if this is what they even thought about, but leveling the playing field like this, where everybody just only gets their stats for the first 200 levels, it is not the way to go. But from a content creator perspective, I do have to say that this is a step in the right direction, because I get a lot of questions, or I got a lot of complaints about new players starting, and they say, oh, I can never get 650 mastery, I can never get so strong as you are. But it's a work, you do have to put in the work. You can't just get everything from the first get-go. So from a content creator perspective, I like that they are leveling out the playing field, because I won't get as many complaints about getting this. But if you really like to play Trove, you also are going to get 650 mastery pretty at some point, right? And the thing is that from a player's perspective that I talked about, I don't like this idea at all. So I do have to go with the player's perspective as an in-game player. I do have to say that this is not the way to go. I don't know if they're going to change. I really, really hope they are. There's a lot of people talking about that they should not have it like this. So I hope they're listening, and I hope they take this out. I do like the thing, though, that they're giving us some light and some power rank from the Geo Mastery. But again, for the first 100 levels, I don't think that that's the way either. But just tune it down a little bit, maybe each level, all the way up to 1,000, giving us not as much power, but you know, I know what they're trying to do with it. They are trying to slow us down a little bit, but this is not the way I think they are going to do it. A lot of people are going to feel hurt, and a lot of people are going to leave the game that has been in for the game for a very, very long time. So I don't think this is the way to go at all. Anyways, moving on with Mastery, there's some stuff that has been adjusted. I'm not sure if this is the if this goes up or down, or some got nerfed or some got added. But if this is any of your interest, you can, I guess you can read about it there. But now we are at the Tomb Raiser changes, and I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do a video on like talking about or showing what the whole thing is. But right now the passive is now, beforehand, when you summoned your small skeletons, you used your mouse button too. I'm not sure what it is on not PTS server, but what it is on the consoles. But basically you used to just, you know, throw your small skeletons out and they would attack, and then you would hit your number 2 ability, number 2 on your keyboard, which was your ultimate, and then you would get the big skeleton, and that would do like the most of the damage and stuff like that. So what they're talking about here is that your primary ability, the one you have on your mouse button 1, the beam thing, is still going to be what it used to be. But the number 2 ability is now going to be one that's going to activate the extra souls from, you know, all these small skeletons. You just what's it called, spawn automatically. So that's basically what we used to have on the number 2 ability. And then the number 1 ability is still the same thing. It's basically the AoE thing. That's what it still is. And then the number 2 ability is a Goliath, and I'm not sure if that means that we are going to have both a big skeleton guy and then a big Goliath guy. I'm not sure what that is, but like I said, I want to show you that in another video, basically showing what it does in a PTS server video. Next thing is that we're going to do the magic find changes, and basically after 150 magic find, the bonus are going to be multiplicative. and I hope I did that correctly. I also talked about it in TLDR video, but 150 mastery is not that hard to obtain. And also another thing is that there was this, it was never confirmed by anybody, but there was this where stellars started to drop from, people said, from 400 magic points, or magic find to 600. So between that, they started to drop, stellars, right? But now maybe it's down and confirmed to 150. They're not saying stellars or anything like that, but stellars are getting more common, after we got crystal gear. People not seeking stellar gear that much, so maybe they put it down further so people can get into crystal gear a little bit faster. Thing is that now that if you press /respawn, it does decrease your magic find when you are used in a combat world. So basically before, if you just typed /respawn, you wouldn't lose any magic find at all. But now you are going to lose your 50 magic find you get from killing monsters. You won't lose, like, you won't, if you have 3,000 magic find from gear and stuff like that, you won't lose all that just by tap and respawn. But usually when you die, you lose that 50 magic find, but then you have to build it up by defeating monsters, and that's just what they're doing right now. Next thing is that the tomes are changing. Basically, you cannot do it in Bomb Royale anymore, so you can't do both Bomb Royale and get your tomes up there, but they do get experience like reliquaries do, and they also give you they basically now nag the player once every 30 seconds if they are filled. You're talking about the legendary ones. So if you have filled one, haven't changed it, it's gonna say after 30 seconds you probably should want to change this before you carry on doing more. Also, they did some with the description and also the information, and also something about charging, just to make it more consistent. So basically, just buff tomes a little bit more, make it more kind of awesome. In the new player login, if you're a new player, I think you should go read this. I think you should read all of it. But in the new player section, they're just talking about that they kind of confirm some stuff, a message on the final day of logging in and stuff like that. All the things that new players are going to do so and stuff like that. But I don't want to get into it too much. There's too much. The video will be extremely long if I just want to go for all of this. But then, because we do got some more to talk about. The next thing is the framework changes. There's a few of them. So if you're a builder, I suggest you go check these one out. But they are minor things that are going to change for frameworks. But again, if you're very much into it, make sure you check it out anyways. Then the store was that there's some new daily deals, changing it out every 24 hours and stuff like that. There's 3 new dungeons. And there's also, of course, some new styles. A bunch of them, actually. And that's awesome, new styles in there. And now we get to the additional updates. So there was some updates to colorblindness, which is really nice. So make sure you check that out if you are colorblind. So good on you there, Gammy, for looking out for the colorblind. Next thing is that fall damage is not going to do any damage to you anymore, except for the Dew Caves. But yes, you're not going to take fall damage anymore. And we really didn't do that before either, so it was kind of a little bit stupid that it was in there to start out with, but it kind of makes sense, right, that you would take fall damage if you would fall, right? But now it's removed, but not in the Dew Caves, of course. That still works as it always is. Then the resurrection time is from to 4 seconds from 8 seconds, as I talked about before. There is something about club forms can only be used when you are in a club for club members, and only name changers when you buy those in the shop. You can also only use them in hubs or clubs. You can't use them in the combat worlds. And next thing is that here players can now donate club it. Oh, what I showing it? Okay, sorry. Players can now donate club it to clubs they're not part of, but that means that you can buy and sell club it, but I would not suggest you do that to people you do not know or you do not trust, because you can get scammed. You probably will get scammed, so don't do it at all. But it's a nice little I guess addition. But yeah, don't do that at all. Just keep your club it for your own clubs and stuff like that. So I had a couple of changes to a couple of commands. And then also the currency for 2019 will melt when this update comes out, so it's not right now. There is something about this, the Gunslinger subclass now no longer persists through changing classes, so that was a bug that was there. The plants also gives experience, that's very nice. Let's see. Okay, all Heil styles is usable by all hit types, so if you want to be a lady with some man hair or the other way around, you can do that as well. There is some cost reduction to the Geodon styles, so a little bit easier to do that. All promotionals collections no longer give you mastery and is hidden until they are unlocked. So you can't see if there's, oh, I don't have this promotional thing, but they will be hidden, all of them. But they won't, and they will not give mastery. That's what I mean. Let's see. New players should also be offered the entire new set of golden. This says here, new players should now be offered entire new first set of golden thread steps before event starts start auto tracking. So basically, they just want to show that there's going to be some expertise for new players. Next thing is that some of these stuff are actually going to be deconstructed. I don't know really what it's going to be, like Prism of Light. I'm not sure what that's going to be, deconstructed into, but yeah, that is basically it. Then there is something to do with transformers. There's something about the modifying on. There's also a few things that correctly. Also, a small thing is that Bomb Royale portal is all caps and now takes a chill pill, which means that it's now going to be like with normal, I guess, letters, and that is more or less it. So, lot of changes here. If you want to read all about them, again, it is in the description, but this is already a 30-minute long video, so I think you guys are already asleep and enough or heard about my voice. But if you like this video, make sure you like it, especially if you found it informative. And again, subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. And again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!